Robert Christian Hansen, known in the media as the Butcher Baker, was an American serial killer. Between 1971 and 1983, Hansen abducted, raped and murdered at least 17, and possibly more than 30 women in and around Anchorage, Alaska, hunting them down in the woods with a Ruger Mini-14 and other weapons. He was arrested and convicted in 1983 and was sentenced to 461 years with no possibility of parole. Early life. Hansen was born in Easterville, Iowa in 1939. He was the son of a Danish immigrant and followed in his father's footsteps as a baker. In his youth, he was skinny and painfully shy, afflicted with a stutter and a severe case of acne that left him permanently scarred. Shunned by the attractive girls in school, he grew up hating them and nursing fantasies of cruel revenge. Throughout childhood and adolescence, Hansen was described as being quiet and a loner, and he had a dysfunctional relationship with his domineering father. He was frequently bullied at school for having acne and speaking with a stutter. He started hunting and often found refuge in this pastime. In 1957, Hansen enlisted in the United States Army Reserve and served for 1 year before being discharged. He later worked as an assistant drill instructor at a police academy in Pocahontas, Iowa. There, he began a relationship with a younger woman. He married her in the summer of 1960. On December 7, 1960, he was arrested for burning down a Pocahontas County Board of Education school bus garage, for which he served 20 months of a 3-year prison sentence in Anamosa State Penitentiary. His wife filed for divorce while he was incarcerated. Over the next few years, he was jailed several times for petty theft. In 1967, he moved to Anchorage, Alaska, with his second wife, whom he had married in 1963 and with whom he had 2 children. In Anchorage, he was well liked by his neighbors and set several local hunting records. Discovery. On June 13, 1983, 17-year-old Cindy Paulson escaped from 44-year-old Robert Hansen while he was trying to load her into his Piper Super Cub. She told police she had been offered $200 to perform oral sex, but that, when she got into the car, Hansen pulled a gun on her and drove her to his home in Muldoon. There, he held her captive, torturing, raping and sexually assaulting her. She mentioned that, after he chained her by the neck to a post in the house's basement, Hansen took a nap on a nearby couch. When he awoke, he put her in his car and took her to Merrillfield Airport, where he told her that he intended to take her out to his cabin. Paulson, crouched in the back seat of the car with her wrists cuffed in front of her body, waited until Hansen was busy loading the airplane's cockpit to make a run for it. While Hansen's back was turned, Paulson crawled out of the back seat, opened the driver's side door and took off toward nearby 6th Avenue. She later told police that she had left her blue sneakers on the passenger side floor of the sedan's backseat. As evidence that she had been in the car, Hansen panicked and ran after her, but Paulson made it to 6th Avenue first and managed to flag down a passing truck. The driver, Robert Yount, alarmed by her disheveled appearance, stopped and picked her up. He drove her to the Mush Inn, where she jumped out of the truck and ran inside. While she pleaded with the clerk to phone her boyfriend at the Big Timber Motel, the truck driver continued on to work, where he called the police to report the barefoot, handcuffed woman. When Anchorage Police Department officers arrived at the Mush Inn, they were told that the young woman had taken a cab to the Big Timber Motel. APD officers arrived at room 110 of the Big Timber Motel and found Cindy Paulson still handcuffed and alone. She was taken to APD headquarters, where she described the perpetrator. Hansen, when questioned by APD officers, denied the accusation, stating that Paulson was just trying to cause some trouble because he would not pay her extortion demands. Although Hansen had had several prior run-ins with the law, his meek demeanor and humble occupation as a baker, along with a strong alibi from his friend John Henning, kept him from being considered as a serious suspect, and the case went cold. Detective Glenn Floth of the Alaska State Troopers had been part of a team investigating the discovery of several bodies in and around Anchorage, Seward and the Matanuska-Susitna Valley area. The first of the bodies was found by construction workers near Ekletna Road. The body, dubbed Ekletna Rani by investigators, has never been identified. Later that year, the body of Joanna Messina was discovered in a gravel pit near Sewardton in 1982. The remains of 23-year-old Sherry Morrow were discovered in a shallow grave near the Nick River. Floth now had 3 bodies and what looked like one killer. He contacted Federal Bureau of Investigation's Special Agent Roy Hazelwood and requested help with a criminal psychological profile. Based on the 3 recovered bodies, Hazelwood thought that the killer would be an experienced hunter with low self-esteem, have a history of being rejected by women, and would feel compelled to keep souvenirs of his murders, such as a victim's jewelry. He also suggested that the assailant might stutter. Using this profile, Floth investigated possible suspects until he reached Hansen, who fit the profile and owned a plane. Supported by Paulson's testimony and Hazelwood's profile, Floth and the APD secured a warrant to search Hansen's plane, cars and home. On the 27th of October 1983, investigators uncovered jewelry belonging to some of the missing women, as well as an array of firearms in a corner hideaway of Hansen's attic. The biggest find was an aviation map with little X marks on it, hidden behind Hansen's headboard. When confronted with the evidence found in his home, Hansen denied it as long as he could, but he eventually began to blame the women and tried to justify his motives, eventually confessing to each item of evidence as it was presented to him. He admitted to a spree of attacks against Alaskan women starting in 1971. Hansen's earliest victims were young women, usually between 16 and 19, and not the prostitutes and strippers who led to his discovery. Known victims: Robert C. Hansen is known to have raped and assaulted over 30 Alaskan women. He is also responsible for murdering at least 17, ranging in age from 16 to 41. They were Lisa Futrell, 41, Malai Larson, 28, Sue Luna, 23, Tammy Pedersen, 20, Angela Fedden, 24, Teresa Watson, Delyn Sugar Frey, Paula Goulding, Andrea Fish Altieri, Sherry Morrow, 23, Ekletna Rani, Joanna Messina, Horseshoe Harriet, Roxanne Eastland, 24, Celia Beth Van Zanten, 17, Megan Emmerich, 17, Mary Thill, 23. Of these 17 women, Hansen was only formally charged with the murder of 4: Sherry Morrow, Joanna Messina, Ekletna Rani and Paula Goulding. He was also charged with the kidnapping and rape of Cindy Paulson. Imprisonment. Once arrested, Hansen was charged with assault, kidnapping, multiple weapons offenses, and theft and insurance fraud. The last charge was related to a claim filed with the insurance company over alleged theft of some trophies, whose funds he used to purchase the Super Cub. At trial, he claimed he later recovered the trophies in his backyard but forgot to inform the insurer. Only after ballistics tests returned a match between bullets found at the crime scenes and Hansen's rifle did he enter into a plea bargain. He pled guilty to the 4 homicides the police had evidence for and provided details about his other victims, in return for serving his sentence in a federal prison, along with no publicity in the press. Another condition of the plea bargain was his participation in deciphering the markings on his aviation map and locating his victims' bodies. He confirmed the police theory of how the women were abducted, adding that he would sometimes let a potential victim go if she convinced him that she wouldn't report him to police. He indicated that he began killing in the early 1970s. He showed investigators 17 grave sites in and around south-central Alaska, 12 of which were unknown to investigators. There remained marks on his map that he refused to give up, including 3 in Resurrection Bay, near Seward. The remains of 12 victims were exhumed by the police and returned to the families. Hansen was sentenced by jury to 461 years plus life in prison, without the possibility of parole. He was first imprisoned at the United States Penitentiary, Lewisburg in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. In 1988, he was returned to Alaska and briefly incarcerated at Lemon Creek Correctional Center in Juneau. He was also imprisoned at Spring Creek Correctional Center in Seward until May 2014, when he was transported to the Anchorage Correctional Complex for health reasons. Death. Hansen died at the age of 75 at Alaska Regional Hospital in Anchorage on August 21, 2014, due to undisclosed lingering health conditions. In popular culture, film John Cusack portrayed Hansen in the film The Frozen Ground, opposite Nicolas Cage as Sergeant Jack Holcomb and Vanessa Hudgens as victim Cindy Paulson. Although not billed as a depiction of the Hansen murders, the movie Naked Fear resembles the case in such features as the killer's use of an airplane to transport women whose disappearances will not be noticed to remote areas to hunt them. Television. Documentaries. The FBI Files episode, Hunter's Game, depicts Hansen's murderous rampage. Crime Stories featured a full 2007 episode of the case. The Alaska Ice Cold Killers episode, Hunting Humans, on Investigation Discovery covered the Hansen case. Hidden City Season 1 Episode 12, on the Travel Channel, covered the Hansen case. TV series, Mindhunters, and The Woods, 2005 episodes of the CBS TV series Cold Case, were inspired by Hansen's crimes. In Criminal Minds Season 5, Episode 21, Hansen is referred to by name. Hansen's crimes also inspired Law and Order, Special Victims Unit, Season 13, Episode 15, which depicts a serial killer who hunts women like wild game before killing them.